the first thing I want to do is introduce us, and I'm Bix Gabriel. I am the co-founder of Take-Two Services. Uh, we offer communications and development services exclusively to nonprofits, and I'm here with my colleague and co-founder Stephanie Arcella, who is the head of our development fundraising arm, and I handle the communications and marketing. And of course, we're also doing this with our wonderful colleagues at Be Mighty 2. And you already heard Brian's voice, but I'm going to let Brian say a few words.
Hi everyone. My name's Brian. I'm the founder of Be Mighty 2, and I just want to thank everyone for coming today and attending this webinar, and also thank Take Two for having us along for this webinar. There should be a lot of great information today.
Thank you, Brian. And likewise, thank you also for partnering with us. We've done a few projects with Be Mighty 2 on some websites, and we thought that this is a question that we get quite often. Exactly, what do you need on your website's donate page? And of course, there are several aspects to that. There's the message, the communication, what to say. There's the technical aspect, and then there's also the donor engagement and cultivation aspects. So I'm going to dive into the agenda and basically explain to you what we'll be covering today. I jumped ahead a little bit because I want to just make sure that people who join late have the chance to hear about how to ask questions. But the agenda, what you're seeing right now is what we're covering today. And that's basically, the messaging, what to say, and how to say it on your donate page. The second area that we'll be talking about, which Brian is really going to be talking about, is the technical aspects of making your donate page easy to use, specifically some of the donation processing possibilities. And then finally, Stephanie will be talking about what to do once people actually click donate. And then we have a little time for question and answers at the end. And speaking of question and answers, I hope everybody has joined now and can see. As you all know, you're muted at this point, and that's just really to cut down any background sounds while we're presenting, and so everyone can hear well. And that doesn't mean, of course, that we don't want you to talk. We do. We just would like you to type in your questions at any point during the webinar. In the control panel, you can see the image right here, the questions section, and just you type in the questions and hit send, and we'll be monitoring them, and we will answer your questions at the end of the webinar. So in the Q&A section, and that's just basically to make sure we stay on track and cover everything, and also sometimes people ask questions that other people have, so everyone can know them at the end. So that's how you ask questions, and hopefully this is very clear. If you do have any questions about how to ask questions, just type it in to the chat window right there in your control panel, and we will address them at the end. But if you have a question about how to ask questions, we'll address it before that.
Oh,
So, yes, Brian?
Bix, I'm sorry. I just wanted to let everyone know too. We will be providing have links to the PDF presentation and also a video recording of the webinar. So anybody can, if they didn't get a chance to make it to the webinar, or if they want to go back and review the information that we went over, we will provide those links later on today for everyone.
Great. So, of course, you know, this whole webinar is on glamming up your website, your donate page specifically. And we're going to talk about your donate page. But before we even get to the donate page, we want to talk about something that a lot of people actually forget about when they're preparing their donate page. And that is the rest of your website. And we find that a lot of times people will, really prepare their online giving platform, their donate page, the online campaigns, and make them look really glammy and glitzy and have lots of bells and whistles, but somehow don't necessarily update the rest of their website. And this is a really important thing because, of course, you want to send a consistent message to people who come to your donate page. Now, they may come because you emailed them a specific link that says click here, and it takes them right to your donate page. But chances are, once they're there, they're probably going to click around the rest of your website and just take a peek, and they're not going to spend more than a minute doing that, very likely, unless you have some really engaging content and they get very excited by it. But most likely, even if it's just 30 seconds or a minute or two, if they see something on the rest of the website that feels outdated, that feels inconsistent with the message that you're putting on your donate page, they're going to be confused. And Brian was mentioning this earlier when we were talking. They're also going to wonder, can I really trust this organization? They're asking me for my money, but the rest of their website isn't really saying the same thing as their online campaign or their donate pages. So, this is something we wanted to just put out there, is that a lot of times your donate page is great, and the rest of your website also needs to be great. Now, if you're planning a year-end fundraiser and want to do an online campaign, you probably don't have a lot of time, especially now that it's September, to do a complete overhaul of your website if it doesn't look and feel like the rest of your site. So in that case, try to update at least the home page. Definitely try to update any page that you link from on your donate page. So if you say, find out more about why you should give us, and it clicks to the About Us section, make sure that that page looks good, looks modern, looks glammed up. And we're going to talk about what that means in just a second. So that is the first thing, that you really want to make sure that the rest of your website looks great as well. Now, the next thing is what we call the make them cry thing. And it is actually part of your entire website, definitely some part, a tiny part of your donate page, but it's actually what happens before people actually get to your donate page. And that is how you contact them and make them feel something. Make them cry is, what is the classic, you pull at people's heartstrings because your cause is so moving, and that's a great thing. And if it works for you, because you're able to do that, and maybe your nonprofit saves animals, puppy dogs and kittens always pull at heartstrings. Maybe you have something to do with onions; they certainly make people cry. But more importantly, the point is that you make people feel something, and that emotion is what draws them to your website. And one of the things that really works and resonates when it comes to making people feel things, inspiring people, is, of course, stories. And what we want to talk about, just very briefly, we've done other webinars on, how to tell stories for your nonprofit website and for your nonprofit in general, and other marketing materials. But what we're trying to emphasize over here is that, especially if you're creating an online campaign that you're using in multiple media, maybe it's fundraising letters, maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's emails, and you're probably using all those tools for an online giving campaign. But each of them should build together as a narrative, using strong emotional appeal, so that people are actually moved when they receive that email. And that's what's going to inspire them to click and get to your donate page. We're going to break down just one quick example that we did for a client. And you can see over here some of this information is hidden, it's redacted. And that's because this part of their campaign was not public. It was an internal campaign that they sent, starting with this letter. Now, the most important thing over here is, of course, the fact that they're telling the story of this person in the picture, and using this particular story of this individual to rouse some emotions. Now, this was the first thing that they sent out. This was part of the campaign. You can see that there's a storyline built around this individual. Also, with this, they had their Facebook page, and this was the cover on their Facebook page at the time they were doing the campaign. Again, the same person, a little quote from them, and it linked back to the story of this person, and ultimately, as you can see over here, back to the donate page. And on the donate page, they had several people profiled, but including this particular person that they had sent this letter around, that they had done the Facebook page around. And what this does is, as you can see, it drives people to the donate page building on a narrative. Now, you could do this using the narrative of an individual, as they did over here, or you could do it building the story of your organization or a particular program. Or in some cases, I've seen people actually build the narrative around what the donor can do, where they make the donor themselves the center of the narrative, calling them, for one example, is be an agent of change, where they empower people who take action by donating to be the central character. Now, this sounds complicated, but it's really not. It's just telling a great story and making sure that the story builds up in different media to reach your donate page. And that is, some of the classic building blocks to getting people to arrive to your donate page. And once they get there, you want to remind them and help them very quickly, very easily remember the emotional reason that they clicked that page in the first place. So having a great visual that reminds the person, or like a one sentence recap of that story that made them go there in the first place, is great. Now we're going to talk really about the donate page itself. And the first thing, of course, when you get to your donate page, it seems so obvious, but is really, really important, is that you want to give people a reason to give on the donate page itself. So we're looking at an example of Planned Parenthood, and this is a donate page that this is one of their donate pages. And you can see up over here that there are these 4 options, which make it very clear that there are different ways that people can give. And that's nice, because if you're thinking about monthly support, you can just click right through. It's easy over there. So that's one little thing to keep in mind. A lot of small nonprofits don't really have things like wills and planned gifts, and that's okay. You can just stick with what you offer. But here's what I want to direct your attention around, and that is this copy over here. Basically, with these 4 sentences, Planned Parenthood is telling you why you should give. Now, could this copy be reworked? Could it be clearer? Could it be shorter? Sure. But what it does, it says over here, your gift will help support Planned Parenthood's work at the local national level, where they provide clinical services, and then ultimately working to ensure universal access to quality, affordable health care. And that's their big goal. That's probably their mission, but it doesn't need to be restating your mission. It just very quickly and simply explains why you should give. So that's the first thing that you want to make sure is very clearly stated in short copy. Now, the second thing that you also want to do is follow the dollars. And that's basically helping people to understand where their money is going. So it's not just saying, hey, give us your money because we're doing such amazing work and this is what your money is going to help us to do. But it's also very specifically saying, this is where your money is going. And let's face it, everybody wants to know where their money is going. So what you can do on your donate page is make a clear correlation between the dollars that you're asking for, 25 pounds in this case, and here, where the money is going, what it will help your organization do. And here you can see the option is 25 pounds, and here you can see 25 pounds can buy buckets, which can be used to keep water clean. And this the great things about this is that about these levels of giving is that they're really specific, very tangible. Some people are going to give to your organization just because they believe in your cause, they think you're doing great work, and you can, they want to help you do this great work. But some people really want to give because they want to help a child get better education. They want to make sure that people can have textbooks. So wherever possible, try to give people these options where you can be as specific as possible and you can break down what each level of giving achieves. And then one last little thing, right up here on the top, you see it says, we'll use your money to help poor communities around the world work their own way out of poverty. And that's their reason to give. That's why people want to give to them. And then the follow-up is how people can actually see where their money is going. So that's the follow the dollars. Now, another great thing to do on a donate page, and this is a really elaborate one. This is actually from the Charity Water campaign. And what they're doing over here is featuring what other people have done to donate or how they're donating. And, let's face it, sometimes peer pressure is a good thing. You can see what other people are doing and you can be inspired or you can feel slightly pressured. And what they've done over here is, for example, this person called Blake is celebrating his 37th birthday, and he's donating to Charity Water, asking people to donate, and you can clearly see. And over here they have Emilio and Melissa are getting hitched and asking for the gift of clean water. And then you have all these great pictures. If you go to their website, they roll over and you see a short blurb about each person's giving. This is a really cool thing to do. This looks really awesome, the photos, the rollovers. A lot of people are not able to do that. You don't have a lot of real estate on your donate page, so you can't devote a lot of space to it. You may not have these pictures, you may not have these stories, but most often you're going to have a quote from somebody who has given to you, and that's equally powerful. Have a great quote where you say something like, so and so from Brooklyn, New York gave to my organization. I gave to this organization because I really believe in their work, or I think they make a difference. And the first person quotes, the testimonials, really make a difference. So we highly encourage you to do that. Now, we're going to move into some of the glamming part of this whole webinar, and that is the reality that, in fact, we all are visual beings. We live in a world that is visual. We're used to seeing visuals all over the place. And in fact, there's some studies that show that we now process information more quickly when we see it visually. And I want to point out that in everything that we've seen so far, including this example, there were great pictures. The text was very clean. The design was very clean. They're pretty websites, and they actually do make a difference. I specifically want to point out one thing. Every single one of them used photographs, and I highly, highly recommend that you use photographs wherever you can. It doesn't have to be, the best, most professional photographs if you don't have access to them. But if you can, those would be great. If you can use photographs like you saw before of people who actually benefit from the dollars, like you saw with the children in the textbooks, those are great. But if you can't do all of that, still try to use photographs. And I'm going to give you this example of how powerful one photograph could be. And this is a client of ours, Docs for Tots. They recently went through a reorganization, and they have a new mission, and they're just, in a sense, starting up again. And one of the things that they've done with a lot of thought on their website is really encourage people to participate, to donate, to do lots of things on there because they want to be really engaging. But on their actual donate page, they don't yet have the testimonials because they're started again. They don't have testimonials with a great quote saying, I gave to Docs for Tots. They might in like 3 days. They probably update their website then. And they're also, because they went through this new structure and reorganization, their track record of showing how much they've already done is a little bit hard to demonstrate on their donate page because they're, of their restructuring. So instead, what they've done is that they've taken a great picture and they've simply put in a little bit of text, which is the number one reason to support them: healthy kids. And now that's something that's their mission, that explains what they're all about: healthy kids. And it's the reason to give. I mean, who doesn't want to support healthy kids? So this is just an example of how you can use a picture with a short sentence and really glam up your website. Pictures do an amazing job of adding a glamorous element if they're good pictures. I want to move to other elements that really help with your donate page. And there are a few main things over here that we want to talk about. You've already seen this particular web page before. And I'm coming back to it because they do a few things really well. One is they have these big buttons right up top. I would like to make a donation of. You can't miss it. You have the sentence up here which explains why. Great. It's just one sentence. And then it says, I would like to make a donation of, and it directs you straight to that section with these big green buttons. So try to do that. Have big powers. A lot of times, you have like lists of fields where people can enter or choose the amount they want to make, the amount they want to donate. But if you can, please try to use these types of buttons. It makes a difference. The second thing that they've done really well is that they've already done half the work for the visitor, in that they've recommended amounts for people to give. Now, people can change their minds. They don't want to give 50 pounds. Fine, give 5 pounds. They can change this easily enough. But by filling this in, they've done two things. One, they've put in their desired amount, which they would like people to donate, and they've made it easier for the person to just say, oh yeah, you know what, 50 pounds, I can do that. And they don't even have to click that. It's already pre-selected. So that does, half the work. So keeping it short, keeping it simple, keeping it sweet. And then the third thing is fewer fields, to try and have as few fields so people don't have to fill out that much information. So these are some principles for your donate page. I'm going to just recap on how we say you could glam up your donate page. So very quickly: photos or video that tell a story. And I'm just going to comment over here. Photos are actually easier in some ways. Videos, most nonprofits produce maybe one video. When they're small, maybe they produce half a dozen, but they're usually programmatic and they're not necessarily tailored for getting people to give, unless they have a very clear video that says, okay, at the end of this, I want you to please donate X amount of money. If you do have that type of video, go ahead and use it. But if you don't, use photos. The next thing I'm going to say is short, clear copy with a clear call to action. I would like to donate now X amount of money. Now, I want to say to all nonprofits, if you're writing the copy for your website, if you're a fundraiser, or if you're a marketing person, write it, slash it in half, and then see how long it is. And if it's anything over 55 to 100 to 65, 75 words for just that one sentence about why to give, you have to go back to the drawing board. So short, clear copy. Big buttons, I talked about that. Fewer fields, as few fields as possible. And I know some nonprofits definitely stumble here because you want to try and collect as much information, but you definitely want to make it easy so people are not, sitting over there having to type up like a whole saga before they can actually give you their money. And then the very final thing that I'm just going to mention, and Brian is going to talk about, is when you want people to give you their dollars, make it simple by having a one-click process. And as I said, some people have a great web page, a donate page, and then they have the fields, and then you click submit or donate, and then you're taken to PayPal, or maybe not even PayPal or whatever, and they have to fill in fields and fields and fields. And there are ways to get around this. Brian will be talking about that more, but that is the last thing we will say about on the messaging end. Make it simple, make it a one-click process. And I'm going to turn it over to Brian from Be Mighty 2.